Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Welcome home, family, and join us for the fun. Colorful guest people everywhere under the sun. Interesting conversations. Prayers first has begun. Invocation, manifestation, conversation then will come. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Let's start drinking some water, juice or tea. Kinkillabers recommended for you and me. Guayusa mixed together, maple syrup or honey. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Learn from the healers, crystals, pyramids. Learn from the healers, the artists, the seers, authors and teachers, dissolving your fears. Workshops of wisdom, the circle is wide. Plant medicine whispers, the planets align. No magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Crystals and pyramids, magnets that spin. Organ awakening the power within. Tantra and herbs, the gateways ignite. Shamanic drums calling truth into light. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Psychedelics painting vision so bright. Planetary activists guarding the night. Awareness expanding the cosmos in view. Higher vibrations are flowing through you. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Hey. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Xenon and herbs, you'll feel much better. Drink your tea now instead of later. Stay ahead of your health. Health is always your greatest wealth. Oh, no, no. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Hey. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Mad science fun, tear the blast. Experiments under the sun. Sacred fire, prayers begun. Success and happiness, your destiny has come. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Yeah, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Learn from the healers, the artists, the seers, authors and teachers, dissolving your fears. Workshops of wisdom, the circle is wide. Plant medicine whispers, the planets align. No magnets, crystals, pyramids. Yeah, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, crystals and pyramids, magnets that spin. Organ awakening the power within. Tantra and herbs, the gateways ignite. Shamanic drums calling truth into light. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Oh, magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids.
Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. Success is your destiny. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Remember, yes, always who you are. Yes, yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am. Love, yes, power. Yes, I am. Yes, I am love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am love, wisdom, power. Master. Yes, I am. Yes, love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Say yes, to yourself. Yes, I am protected. Yes, yes, I am. Master. I am relaxing.
All right. Peace, peace. Welcome to Magnus Crystal Pyramid. Moorish Mondays on Magnus Crystal Pyramid with Brother Abdullah, Talib, Mosi Bay. Right now, waiting on the brother Kanan to enter into the studio. He may be having some technical issues at the moment. Yeah, tonight's episode is The Importance of Astronomy in the Moorish Culture, Part 1. So the brother Kanan is going to break down the importance of astronomy, how astronomy was applied, at the times where when our Moorish culture was actually on the surface, where it wasn't being suppressed, when we were actually exercising that, how we use it for, different purposes, different reasons. I don't really want to get into detail because it's the brother Elkanah's and Abdullah's presentation. So, yeah, it was used for the basics, map making, traveling, timekeeping, measurement. So, yeah. Let's see. One moment.
Islam family, you're having some technical problems with the featured guest. The host is not on the platform yet. The featured guest has yet to activate his technology so that he could be interviewed. So that is what is the holdup. That being said, I'm going to add some of the opening music so that we can wait upon the arrival of Abdullah Bey and also Kanan.
Welcome to Moorish Monday with Abdullah Talib Mosi Bay. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. I greatly appreciate everyone for their support, participation. It's been 2 years. I'm approaching 2 years. In 2 weeks, it will be 2 years that I have been doing Moorish Monday, and I want to give special thanks to Uncle Hank for offering this platform to me. Those across the screen is my website, mooresandmasonry.org. And if anyone get interested in getting my books, go to my website, mooresandmasonry.org. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Yes. He's backstage, Hank, isn't he? Welcome. Brother Hank. I don't see El Kanan.
He did say 4 people.
He's not even in queue. He is nowhere in the building.
All right, let me hold on. All right, Israel, take over.
All right. Let's go over the nationality, over aspects of nationality while we wait. Let me share this screen. All right. So we'll just go over the application of nationality, elements of nationality, the full aspect, nationality in its broad sense, not in its narrow sense. So Noble Drew Ali brought the foundation to restore our lost Moorish sovereignty. So for us to recover our lost Moorish sovereignty, he brought the aspect of nationality dealing with consanguinity and socio-cultural. So Google consanguineous aspect of nationality and socio-cultural aspect of nationality. I think the screen should be sharing. Oh yeah, there we go. So on the left side, we have the consanguineous aspect of nationality. The elements of the consanguineous aspect of nationality are consanguinity, ancestry, parentage, descent, genealogy, pedigree, and lineage. And then we have the socio-cultural aspect of nationality, which and the elements of the socio-cultural aspect of nationality, a language, dress/headdress, ceremonies, holidays, rituals, festivals, and dance. So the two columns on the left is what Noble Drew Ali brought. So he sparked the movement, the Moorish movement, the divine and national movement, by bringing these aspects of nationality. All right. There are 2 more aspects of nationality that we have to continue working on, to complete this mission, to complete the mission for Moorish liberation, or for the recovery of lost Moorish sovereignty. So the third column, political framework of nationality. So the political framework of nationality involves defining the national identity of the people. And you can find that within constitutions. The political term within the constitutions, the people of. So the people of, example, the people of Burkina Faso. Another example, the people of France. And another example, the people of China, etc. All right. So that's the political framework of nationality. The legal, hold on. Pardon me, that's the wrong slide. I was working on the slides earlier. Lost my slide. All right, well, the legal framework of nationality involves the legislation and execution of nationality laws. These are not, y'all can ignore that. All right, so the political framework of nationality and the legal framework of nationality involves the restoration of a state, or a state has to be functioning, fully functioning. Government, state, they must be exercising the territorial sovereignty, things of that nature. So until the political framework of nationality and the legal framework of nationality is restored, we'll just be dealing with the consanguineous and the socio-cultural aspect of nationality, which is, yes, we know we're Moors, dealing with consanguinity, blood ties, pedigree, ancestry, parentage, genealogy. So in socio-cultural, so we can speak our Moorish language, dress according to our Moorish attire, our Moorish customs, celebrate our Moorish ceremonies, holidays, practice our Moorish rituals, festivals, dance. Like we have the right to do all these things. We have the right to exercise the consanguineous aspect of nationality and the socio-cultural aspect of nationality freely, but what protects that will be the political framework of nationality and the legal framework of nationality. Because at one point in time, we were stripped of, we weren't allowed to exercise our Moorish customs and culture and ceremonies and rituals, and wear our Moorish headdress, things like that. The consanguinity aspect of nationality was being violated, right? So in order to protect that, so that won't happen, we have to restore the political framework and the legal framework of nationality, if that makes sense. Looks like we have right, yeah.
All right, Al-Kanan's gonna call you. Did he call you already?
No, he hasn't called me yet.
All right, call him. Call him down on your phone. He's gonna. Yeah, he can't get on. So he's gonna do on the phone.
All right.
All right, welcome everyone again. Thank y'all for joining us. Welcome to Moorish Monday with Abdullah Talib Mosi Bey on Magnus Christos Pyramids YouTube and Moroccan Post Media YouTube. Thank you again for your support and your participation and your patience. Greatly appreciate all of you. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. Across the screen is my website, mooresandmasonry.org. We have a very enlightening, illuminating show for you today. Thank you for your patience. Let people know that we're on. We're live and direct. Share the link. Let them know we're on. Welcome. Let them join on to this platform. The astronomy and the Moorish culture. The astronomy and the Moorish culture.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so we have.
I'm blocked.
So you're on now, Kanan.
Say something to see if they can hear you. You're on now.
Say something.
Hello.
All right, you're loud and direct. You're live and direct, Brother Kanan. So we have Brother Kanan. All right, Brother Kanan and I will be doing the presentation. All right, so can you see Israel, you're going to show the screen?
Yeah, I need Hank to present it. It's already sharing.
All right. Brother Hank?
It's double for some reason. It's echoing. You all don't hear echo, though, do you?
No, you're not echoing.
All right, cool. And I can see
all
the
right.
screen.
All right.
You see the screen?
Yeah.
All right, so we have the importance of astronomy in the Moorish culture, part 1. The importance of astronomy in the Moorish culture. Brother Kanan Bey and Abdullah Talib Mosi Bey. We will be presenting. All right, so Brother Kanan, before you get started, just tell them a little bit, spend about a minute or two. Just give them, I know you've been on about 5 or 6 times already. Just give them a little bit about your background.
Okay, background. I've been teaching for 25 years, math and science, elementary school, 7th, 8th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Ran into Abdullah about 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. And, my travel through Masonry, I've been involved in the Masonic Order since '87. Through those years, and went through positions such as Master, Lodge, Grandmaster, past Grandmaster, Potentate, and then we have higher degrees that I've ascended to. And the understanding that I've been receiving from Abdullah over the past 6 or 7 years is, I want to say that I'll say that mind-boggling. Just for the fact of the matter is, in the live, first of all, we are not taught the application, nor are we even addressing the application in the lives. In the lives, we take a look at what's called the speculative versus the operative. Operative means you're doing the actual application of the certain tools. but we use tools in the lodge. These tools are not used to build the building anymore. That was the old days. So now what we're looking at is building the actual individual. However, it's very interesting to find out its past knowledge of ours. I'm a Moor as well. Okay, so just to clarify that for Moors and Masons who are practicing Moors who are practicing Masonry, we're Moors. We're all Moors. But the issue is those of us who are practicing the Masonic culture, we don't know the culture or even the tools to be used in its practical or the operative sense. So this knowledge itself opens up an entire different branch or avenue of thinking about Masonry and just the lodge itself. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about the most obvious part of Masonry that is hidden or unknown even to the Mason. So with that, I would like to begin.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about the usage of astronomy in the Moorish culture and the importance of astronomy in the Moorish culture. All right, let's go with the first slide. Bear with me, Israel, because I've got something on my screen. Is there any? I don't want to press X, but if I press X, it's hard to my browser. I don't know what that's going to do. I'm going to try it.
What's going on?
All right.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, open up the screen widen your screen a little bit more so that I can see it. Sit up closer. And okay. Israel,
Yeah.
both eyes, man. You open up this screen a little more. I'm gonna go ahead and get my graphic too. This text is small. This text is small. So, see if this will help. All right. In this time of the year, November, during this time of the year, many people of the world are celebrating this day called Thanksgiving. It's going to be this Thursday. We want to focus our attention on our culture as Moors, dealing with astronomy, particularly the star constellations of Orion, Taurus, and Sirius. Our discussion will start with Orion, Orion's rise, and Orion's set in the constellation. Ushering in the winter solstice, which is December the 21st. So Orion is rising during Sagittarius between November the 22nd through December the 21st, signaling that winter is approaching. Okay, so this sets the stage. All right, next slide. Raising the Jed pillar astronomically refers to two distinct ancient Egypt concepts: the symbolic ritual act of raising the Jed pillar and a proposed astronomical observation tool. The Jed pillar used to track the star. Okay. So the ritual was a ceremonial event symbolizing the resurrection of Osiris and the stability of the cosmos, often performed by Pharaoh with priests. The astronomical instrument was a 1 cubic tall device with disc on top, used to divide the night into 12 equal parts by observing the vertical movement of stars called decades near the horizon. Do me a favor, can you widen the screen a little bit more?
I think this is wide as it's gonna get, bro.
That's gonna get.
Let's see.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
All right. I gotta get my eyes together. All right. So, real quick before we move from this slide, we talked about two different things. One, the Jed pillar being raised, and then the other is an actual tool. We're going to see photos of this that is going to talk about the two different events, or talk about two different things. One is the tool, and the other one is raising of the Jed pillar. And just on this concept alone, there is a part 2, which I promise there's not any technical difficulty in that. I'm going to work on that tonight, making sure that I can get connected in. But that is a very big point, raising of the Jed pillar. And we're going to see again, through imagery, what the object is for measuring the stars, Jed pillar, and then also the actual column that you'll see in Egypt. That's a picture that you've seen a lot of times. You just didn't know. It was a hidden meaning. All right. Well, it was a hidden meaning for those of us that didn't know what it was. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide, because we'll be coming up to those pictures pretty soon. So, technology. All right, I just had to open up my side. The ritual of raising the Jed pillar. So, first of all, we have three things that we're going to look at: symbolism, the ritual, and timing. The symbolism, the Jed pillar is the backbone of Osiris and symbolized his resurrection and stability. The ritual was a symbolic act of restoring order to the universe. Yeah, that's part 2 coming up. Part 2, I got it. The ritual, during the ceremony, priests and pharaoh would physically raise a large pillar with rope. That's what I was talking about earlier. See a picture, an Egyptian picture. You really don't pay attention to it. It just looks like a picture. And you see one person on the front end of the pillar and somebody else on the back side of the pillar, and the pillar itself in the middle. This is the act of raising the Jed pillar. Okay? And that Jed pillar is slanted that way, specifically so that it's pointing to something. We're using astronomy to, or as a mark to divide the seasons. So this is important. The third thing is timing. It was performed during significant periods. This is where it's coming in at. Such as Hampstead Festival to renew the king's strength during the winter solstice when the sun was weak and at the start of the agricultural year. Okay. So dealing with the agriculture, dealing with the start of the agricultural year, what's actually happening during the winter solstice. The sun it's in an apparent depth. It's hidden, right, for 3 days. And then we're looking at the resurrection of the sun. So in that resurrection of the sun, that is when we look at the seed being in the ground, and then the seed start to, germinate, and then go ahead and plant stems, and things of that nature. All right, so let's go to the next slide, and we'll talk more about the Jed pillar here. So, astronomical instrument function. A jet pillar was a physical device used to divide the night into 12 equal hours by observing the movement of the stars. Construction. It was 1 cubic tall instrument with 4 stacked discs on the top third. So, in usage or method, the observers would adjust the distance of the pillar from their eye to account for the varying length of the night throughout the year. This allowed them to track the stars beckons as they rose and set near the eastern and western horizons. Okay, next slide. Next slide. All right. So again, I said that I was going to deal with Orion. Orion is rising, and it's kind of decline. I don't necessarily want to say that, but it's rotation, as it's rotating. Here we see Orion. If you see the arrow at the bottom, this indicates his head. Then you have the belt, and you have his bow. So this is the Great Orion Nebula. All right. So you have Orion, the hunter, and you have Canis Major, his dog. A lot of times in pictures you see with Orion, you'll see his dog. Sometimes you'll see, if you see the full picture, which I believe I have with me, you'll see Lepus. Lepus is a constellation, and that's dealing with the hare or the rabbit. That is what he's chasing. That's what Orion is chasing. All right. And I'm not going to get too much into that because you don't see the pictures of it, so let me not go deep into that. But just keep this picture in mind, and as I'm describing it, this is the nebula. Okay, all of the constellation of Orion. All right, and then you see Orion's belt, which we're gonna come back to that again. And you do see his bow, and that arm also represents the arrow, because that arrow is pointing to something. One thing about it, if you can identify Orion, then you can identify Sirius. Okay? Once you're able to identify Sirius and Orion as well, especially Orion, is you're able to now identify a quicker way for observers to look at the constellation. Once you identify these 3 Orion's belt, now you're able to take a look at the rest of the constellations. We're able to identify the rest of the constellations, and we're going to get into some of that tonight. The major thing about Sirius or Canis Major, and there is a Canis Minor, because Orion had two dogs. He had the big dog and the little dog, so Canis Major and Canis Minor. Well, Sirius is the brightest star. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to see enough of these pictures so that this can be burned in your mind to understand how do we map the other star. About mapping star. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Now here's Sagittarius. I just threw Sagittarius in there because there's going to be a part 2. Filling this out, we're taking a look at Sagittarius, and then we take a look at Taurus. So between Sagittarius and Taurus, that's going to open up more information as far as gates and pathways. All right, so we're going to come back to that later, but right now for Sagittarius, I just wanted to include that because I'm going to be talking about Taurus next, and I wanted to talk about Sagittarius quickly because Sagittarius is on the opposite end of Orion, and you have Taurus and Orion, which opens up some very powerful gates in the constellation. So let's go ahead and let's move to the next slide. All right, so here we have a pretty interesting picture, as African pictures are, especially ancient pictures. It's always symbolism. So this is a mix here. It's the Jed pillar, right? It's the actual Jed pillar, and it's the tube. So this is the tube that has the top third that we talked about earlier, Jed pillar. This is the top third rings in which you would measure the stars with. Okay, those on the very top, and then the second one, and then the third. Okay. Also, this is long this way in order to also represent a pillar, like a column. In the most old school high school, they got these pillars, court buildings. They have these long, big pillars, or whatever the case is. So this is acting as a pillar and a tool at the same time. That's this picture depicts. Okay, so let's move to the next picture.
Hold on 1 second.
All right.
All right.
Here we go again. All right. So as you saw from the previous picture, it was the tool, the Jed pillar, which has 4 rings. Okay. The pillar that you see, obviously, Jed pillar is not, 10 feet tall or taller. This pillar that they have in the Egyptian art. What's happening is this Jed pillar is on a slant. This column is on a slant. But as you see, it's being used twofold in the picture. It's being used as a pillar, and it's also, you can see the tool, if you know it. The tool is a handle, and then it has these 4 rings. Okay, so it's being used 2 different ways. And in African art, especially Egyptian art, there were a lot of hidden messages in each of the pictures. There was more than just one hidden message. And all these pictures that you see around here are all depicting something. But specifically, the main thing that's being emphasized is the Jed pillar. All right, let's move on. And here again is the Jed Pillar. I just want to make it clear because we saw a person with a Jed Pillar head, and then we see a column, right? Remember, two priests that was raising Osiris, right? So that's what the Jed Pillar was. That was those two priests on either side, and they were raising Osiris. And what that was doing, the cosmos and the constellations have all of these stories. So the Greeks had theirs, right? The Egyptians had theirs. So everyone, of course, it came from Egypt. But these stories were telling a story about what was happening in the sky. All right. Most of us know about the Greek mythology stories. All right. Osiris, Orion, talking about the bull Taurus, and talking about the Sagittarius, the Scorpion, and you have all of these different creatures or whatever. But again, these are things that this is what Greek mythology have. And it's not bad because it tells the story about what's happening in the sky. All right. So again, this is a picture of the Jed Pillar. This is more of an actual look of a Jed Pillar. It's more of a artifact, kind of a picture, a sculpture or whatever. But it's similar to a Jed Pillar, very similar. That's what a Jed Pillar would look like. Okay. So let's move on. So the question one might ask is, does the Earth move or do the stars move? Both the stars and the Earth are moving. But the stars appear to move because of Earth rotation and orbit. And we're going to talk more about that. The Earth's spin is what makes stars seem to move across the sky from east to west, or from left to right, each night. The stars are also moving, but their own motion is much slower and less noticeable from our perspective over a short period of time. Because the stars are billions and billions of light years away, so they're moving. It's not like, you see a plane, a helicopter that, that's moving. Oh man, I see a helicopter, I see a plane. No, it's light years away. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the next slide. So rotation, the Earth spins on its axis, causing the daily movement of stars, which is actually our planet rotating beneath it. Now we look at the orbit. The Earth also orbits the sun. It revolves around the sun, which changes the stars we see in the night over the course of a year. Now, let's talk about stars' motion. Apparent versus actual. What it seems like versus what it is. The rapid movement we see is an illusion caused by Earth effect. The stars are also moving, but their real motion is very slow from our point of view. Perceiving stellar motion. All right, so when we perceive stellar motion, it's because the stars are so far away, as I mentioned before. Their individual movements are too small to be seen without powerful telescopes and long periods of observation. Over millions of years, however, the stars' positions relative to each other So there's movement, but they change. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
All right, this is cool. And it's not really too much to talk about in this one. Here's Orion. You see Orion, he's the hunter. You can see a head and his shield. You see a club, or in this case, he has a sword, and it changes from, pictures. Sometimes it's a club, sometimes a sword, or whatever the case is. But it's important that this picture is brought out, that you see this picture. Again, we're talking about not just star gazing, but star mapping. And later, we're going to talk about why it's important to map stars and just look at the astronomy, the science of dealing with the stars and the planets, specifically the stars. All right. So here, what does it say? It said, Taurus protect the 7 little sisters from Orion. Now, we know who Orion is. Orion. Okay. Orion, right now, what they've shown us in green, they've given us the Betelgeuse and Regal. All right. So those are the 2 stars that one is at the foot of Orion, the other one is at the shoulder. Betelgeuse is the shoulder, and Regal is the foot. And then they give us another thing called Orion's belt. Now, I'm not going to give up the mystery of that yet, because we got a few more Orions that we're going to see, so we can go into that a little bit later. But it says Taurus protects the 7 little sisters from Orion. Okay, so we know Orion. But Taurus, what possibly could we be talking about when we say Taurus? Well, as we can look here, we see a Y shape in green. So that is making out the face of a bull. That V shape with those white lines on, with those white dots, rather, that is the constellation of Taurus. And Greek mythology, again, talking about the story, the bull is protecting Orion. Well, protecting the 7 sisters. And these 7 sisters, of course, they're talking about a constellation. All these are talking about constellation. Orion the hunter is talking about his constellation. Orion has 7 bright stars that you can see. All right, as we see them right now, you see a shoulder, Betelgeuse, there's another shoulder on the other side. That's 2. Orion's belt is 3, and then it's 2 feet. That's 7. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 2 is 7. However, that's what you can see from your physical eye. There are also 74 other stars that you can see from your physical eye, totaling 81 in total, 81 stars that you can view from Orion's constellation. All right, those are the visible ones, right? And you have to use tools, telescopes to see the other. But anyways, as we see Orion is the hunter, and he's trying to attack Lepus, which is the hare or the rabbit. All right. And in that constellation, there are 7. It's a band of 7 stars. But you can't get to those. And Orion can't get to those because this bull is always in front of him. And this bull is Taurus. Well, the face is anyways. All right. Constellation of 5 stars. What's very important here in mapping, but there are 2 things that's important. Number 1 is the club that's up top of Orion, going up from the intelligence, going all the way up into these 4 dots and the 2 green lines. All right. So later, and what I mean by later, in another lecture, we're going to talk about the importance of this sword or club that Orion had. Now, Orion's bow and his arrow is pointing towards the hair, because he's trying to kill the hair. The hunter's trying to kill the hair. You can't see it on here because you can barely see Taurus, the bull, but the bull is in front. Okay. So the 7 sisters is another constellation, and that's a band of 7 stars. And we're going to get into what that constellation is later. But right now, the bull, Taurus, as you can see, probably can't make it out good, but it is a band of 5 stars. And what's really important right now, Orion's belt has how many stars? 3. Okay, 3 on the belt, 5 for Taurus. And then we're going to find out what the band of stars are that Orion is trying to back or face or whatever the case is. All right, so let's go ahead to the next slide. This gives us, all right, well, the word, yeah, thanks. So when we get to that, thanks, Israel, thanks for that. But I'm going to get to it. I'm going to need you to do that one more again.
Okay.
I know for the novice, not right now.
Oh, okay.
But for the novice, if you're just learning about astronomy, and that's good, because again, we as Moors, we want to learn what our history, was and is, right? So again, we have Orion's belt. Now, here's something that's crucial right here. Now we see Orion, and for whatever reason, it's a clearer sight to see his belt. We were able to see that before, but now as his belt it's like the skag board, where you put your sword is pointing down. Okay, so when you're able to see Orion's belt, and then you see the skag board that's going down, pointing down is south. And also, it happens to be Canis Major. And the little jewel that's around Canis Major's neck, that little pendant, is Sirius. So if you were looking in the sky and you were able to identify these 3 stars, Orion's belt, you would be able to look downward from there, and then further down, you would be able to quickly identify Sirius. And the next time I'm with you, I'm going to show that's what's going on down, but what's going on up is a whole nother story. Okay, so now we see Orion. Okay, Orion's belt, which is crucial about that. But then we also are taking a look at Taurus. Now you can see the 5, that V better. That V, the 2 eyes are the tips right here of Taurus constellation. And then if you go below that, you see some stars that are not so light, or so bright. And then you see one right in the middle, which is almost, it's not really the nose, but you see that V formation. So you have Orion's belt, which is the 3. You have Taurus, which is the band of 5. Okay. And then, if you can help me out again, quite serious. And there's this other constellation called Palladium. Now, it doesn't give us a whole lot. It doesn't, show us the 7th band of stars right here. But you have a 7. So 3 on Orion's belt, 5 in the constellation of Taurus, and then we have 7. So you see 3 characters. You have Orion, you have the hunter, you have the bull that's protecting Palladium, which is 7 daughters, or Lepus, not Lepus, but Lepus, Lepus, which is the hair, which is what Orion is going after. In the story they say he's going after the hair, but because he's hunting the hair, but he's really after the daughters, the 7 daughters. All right, so you have 3, 5, 7. Interesting. We're gonna come back to that. All right, let's go ahead and let's move from there. This again gives us same situation, but we've spent so much time on Orion. We want to diminish him a little bit, and we want to look more at Taurus and Palladium. Now we can look a little bit better and see Palladium, right? You see Palladium, you see this band right here. Then, and then you're able to see Taurus. And Taurus has 5. Although we are looking at 6 right here, but it's the brightest. So that's why the dots are bigger. All right. The 2 for the eye, of course, the bull. You have those 2. And then you have 2 minor ones, which is still bright. And then you have the one in the middle. Okay. So then that gives us the 5. And we can't see Orion's belt right here. But again, we still know that this is Orion. Okay. So, all right, let's go ahead and move. I just got that picture so that we can see Taurus a little bit clearer, and we can see Palladium. This right here was just taken from a map. And again, this doesn't give all the pictures, but this is what you would see. You're not going to see a guy in the sky. You're not going to look like him. You're not going to see a bull. You're not going to see 7 daughters or a rabbit or anything like that. That's just to help individuals to understand how to identify those particular stars. This is what you're really going to take a look at. This is what you're going to see. You get your telescope, looking in the sky. This is what you're going to look at. So you see Orion. Right away, you see 3 stars, band of stars, real quick, and that's the Orion belt. And then you see something hanging down, and the hanging down there is the skagboard, which is pointing south, which is pointing toward Sirius. And then if you go across on a slant, maybe like a 45-degree angle, you can see. You can kind of, if you look at Orion's shoulder and you line it up on a slant, all right, do me a favor, while Siri, right next to the word Orion, go up a little bit to the shoulder, keep going right there. Now, if you draw a slant, you can easily go quickly over to your right and up, and you can run into Taurus, right? If you go up on a slant, you'll see keep right there, right? So now you'll see the first star or one of the stars in the constellation of Taurus, and then you can go ahead and make out the V. And And if you move over, still going over to the right, you will see the band of 7. Come down a little bit to the right. And this is what happens in, as far as, astronomy club. That's what they're doing. They're doing it just like this. There's no perfect science. They take a look at it and say, okay, here's what it is. I see a slant. I see Orion. I see Taurus. I see Palladium. Then they go down from Orion's belt and they see Sirius, right? So, and it makes it easier when the lights, the stars are bright and everything. So it's looking a little bit better than what we're seeing in this picture. But okay, let's move on to the next. All right, this is, well, we already know this is Taurus, right? This is Taurus. I picked out this particular picture, and I was talking to my cohorts about it, and they were like, "No, man, it's cool, but I'm all right with it," because one of the things that it does do is it points out that there are stars on the tip of the horn. Okay, right? There's a star here and there's a star here. Yep, north and south. All right. So this is Taurus the bull, and this is what we're working with here. All right. This is what it looks like. All right. So yeah, we can go ahead and move on from here. All right. So what we just saw was Taurus the bull. We keep looking at this V. We've seen the V a couple of times. So Taurus constellation. The bull of Taurus is well-known zodiac constellation that represents the zodiac sign from I ate off some of that. I think this is
You still that from April.
April, yeah. April the 20th to May the 20th. However, the sun passes through Taurus constellation approximately 1 month later in modern terms. Taurus has been a prominent asterism used since the Bronze Age when marking the spring equinox. All right. The Taurus constellation is one of the original 48 constellations listed by the Egyptian mathematician Talib, who lived under Roman rule in Alexandria in the 2nd century. These constellations form the basis for the modern list agreed by the IAU constellation from the southern hemisphere, unable to be seen from the Mediterranean, represents the majority of additions to the list. Taurus, shrink that. All right. Taurus constellation currently marks the first day of spring. Pallades, which is one of the best known deep sky objects, is part of the constellation. Right? When we saw that picture of Taurus, right on the, I want to say the left shoulder of the bull, we were able to see Palladium. Okay. So it's best known for the deep sky object. It's part of a constellation. The open cluster, which also goes under the name Seven Sisters. Remember before I was talking about the hare or the rabbit. Well, another name for Lepus is the Seven Sisters, right? So Lepus constellation is also known as Seven Sisters, or it can be the hare or rabbit. That's the story that is being, you know, in Greek mythology that Orion is chasing. But technically it's the seven sisters, and that it's the seven stars. Okay, has been a significant reference with its name shared across the old and the new world, indicating a significance to early man. Taurus is a prominent constellation that is easy to locate and interpret. And I say that it's easy to interpret because, well, not interpret so much, but it's easy to identify once you've identified Orion and then Orion's belt, and you go on a slant in order for you to find Taurus. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to talk more about Taurus constellation. It's important to be aware of a specific time of year, hour of night when deciding what to look for. These pages below show constellations in each group so you can find the constellation that interests you. Taurus is best visible in the evening sky in January. All right. All right, I'll go through some of it. I'll go through just look at the time. Circumpolar, that means year round. So Ursa Major, Cassiopeia. Ursa Minor, Draco, Sweetness. Okay. Winter, Pegasus, Pisces, Aries, Riga, Taurus, Orion, Canis Major, Canis Minor, Gemini, Leo, Cancer, Leo, sorry. This is the winter hexagon. Then you have summer, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Hercules, Lyra, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, Aquila, Cygnus, Capricornus, and Aquarius. These are the constellations of summer. Or use the guide to see which constellations are easy to find right now. So we are in the winter constellation. All right. So we're looking at, well, in the northern hemisphere, we're in the winter constellation, and it's reversed for the southern hemisphere. All right. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. All right, best constellations to find this month. All right, quick thoughts. Symbolism, the bull, and that's the reason why I kind of focused on Taurus, because, you know, in the northern hemisphere, that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at the bull. Neighboring constellations, Orion. Well, that's why I'm talking about Orion right now. And also because Orion helps us to map the star constellations. Okay, so Orion, southwest, Gemini, west, Aries, east, Riga, northwest. The brightest star is Aldebaran, which is 0.85 magnitude. Stars brighter than 3 magnitude. We have the primary star. All right. Well, a lot of it is just technical jargon right now, but I'm going to go through it real quick. The primary star is 13. There are 13 primary stars. 5 in the face. Again, we're talking about Taurus. Okay? So the primary is 13. 5 in the face, 2 at the tips of the horn, 1 for the neck, 2 for each shoulder, and 2 for front leg. Okay? The latitude is 0 to 30 degrees north. In the northern hemisphere, season is winter. This is when it's visible. Okay, and that's between October and February. If anybody that lives up north, you know that's cold during that time. And I glossed over, unfortunately, I said the stars brighter than 3 magnitude are 4. They're 4, but the brightest star is Aldebaran, and that's 0.85 or 85 tenths, 85 hundredths magnitude. Okay. All right. So let's give a little background on Taurus and the constellation that we're in right now in the Northern Hemisphere. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's move on. Oh, right. So we have we just talked about that. All this is talking about what we just discussed. So a lot of the location that we mentioned, that's where these stars are being placed. And of course, we know about Pleiades. We talked about Pleiades that circle around those blue stars. You see the blue dots there, but that's Pleiades right there. And then Aldebaran, you can see that star formation right there. And you see Taurus. You're able to see Taurus. And you can see Aldebaran, and then hiatus, you know, the 2 eyes on Taurus. So they named that, and then they named what Taurus itself is protecting, which is Lady of the 7 daughters that we already talked about. So it's just giving a little bit more information. If you can look real good, you see 3 stars. You see Orion's belt. 1, 2, 3. Yep, you see that. So in this lecture, you're going to learn a little something about how to identify the stars, right? So if you have a telescope, or if you're just looking on a map, you can, you know, identify it. So it's more fun if you have a telescope. All right, so let's go ahead. We can move on. All right, so earlier I mentioned Orion's belt with the 3. That was the star group cluster, right? Of 3. Then we had what? Taurus. Taurus has what? Taurus in its cluster is 5. And then Pleiades has how many? 7. So in Freemasonry, 3, 5, 7 can refer to a specific line, such as Solomon's staircase, right? Or it could be a number, a live number 357, or the symbolic number 3, 5, and 7, which are central to telecraft reading. And it's a journey of the winding stairs. All right. These numbers represent stages of development and lessons in morality, intellectual growth, and spiritual understanding. The numbers 3, 5, and 7 are often mentioned together and are important symbolic numbers to Freemasonry. Well, what I wanted to do is also show some relationship of Masonry, because Masonry is Moorish culture. And I wanted to specifically deal with the 3, 5, 7, because again, we're talking about Orion, Taurus, and Pleiades. Okay, you're not going to, you know, this isn't a degrees and basically a learning thing. We don't learn in the lodge. Okay, it's not a university. Okay, so Solomon's staircase, lodge number 357. It's an active lodge number within the Grand Lodge of California, state of California somewhere, and it's part of a worldwide Freemasonry organization. And it's symbolic number. It is, and they have that rule, you know, a journey of learning. When you look at the number 3, 5, 7, they're central again to the telegraph degree, and they represent a journey up the winding stairs. Okay, so 3 is a part of the stairs, 5 is part of the stairs, 7 is part of the stairs. You So, all right, we can go ahead. We can move on. Yeah, we just went through this right here. The only thing that we didn't talk about is the symbolic lessons. Okay, so again, 3 represents the foundation of moral fortitude. 5 often linked to the 5 words of architecture and human senses, representing intellectual development. 7 represents the pursuit of higher learning, and we call that the liberal arts. Key concepts: the numbers 3, 5, 7 are guiding symbols that remind members of the importance of moral fortitude, continuous intellectual development, and the pursuit of higher understanding. I wanted to point this out because there's this growing, or maybe there's this thought that Masons are hiding some esoteric, deep, transformative knowledge that's being hidden naturally. What you just heard, or what I just read to you about the 5 orders of architecture, the 5 senses representing intellectual development, representing the foundation of moral fortitude. That's what the lessons. That's what we learn in the lives. We don't learn nothing about agriculture. Not agriculture. Well, we don't learn about agriculture either. But we don't learn about the constellation and all of this other stuff or whatever. So I just want to dispel that myth that it's this super invisible plane that Masons have built, and every year or every week, every day we fly in it and go from one place to the next or whatever. That's not. that's mythology. Okay. All right. So just wanted to throw that out there. But the main point that I really wanted to talk about though here is 3, 5, and 7. Orion, Taurus, and Ladies. So if I have any of my brothers that are out there, Masonic brothers, we're all brothers of Moors, but my Masonic brothers who are Moors, who are practicing the Moorish culture of masonry, you have the knowledge now to know or to have something extra, toolkit. The 3, 5, 7 is Orion, Taurus, and Pleiades. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's move on to the next. All right, let's take a look. Astronomy and masonry have often been linked together and explaining the close connections between them. There is no secret within this revelation because there is no study bringing connections between them specifically from an astronomical aspect. The 3, 5, 7 astronomical relationship to those numbers is by identifying the star key constellation. From observation, there are 3 separate group clusters forming Orion belt. That is part of the Orion's constellation. That's the 3. Okay. From observation, there's a cluster group of 5 form a cluster group named Taurus, which represents the bull, specifically the eye, chin, horn, and bull. That's the 5. Finally, the 7, which represents the star cluster group called Pleiades. That's the $7. 3, 5, 7. Astronomical relationship. There's mystery. Okay. Mystery revealed. Right. All right. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Hand constellations tell time. In addition to the Earth's daily rotation around the axis or its axis, it makes it seem like that the stars close to the celestial pole revolve around the pole once each day. Because of this, constellation of stars close to the celestial poles, such as the Big Dipper, can be used to estimate time during the night. All right, let's go ahead. Check it out. Celestial navigation is a method of determining one's position on Earth by using celestial bodies like the sun, the moon, planet, stars. It involves using instruments like a sextant to measure the angle of celestial objects above the horizon. These measurements are then used with the nautical almanac and calculations to find latitude and longitude, either as a standalone backup for GPS or as a primary navigational tool. All right, let's go ahead. So here we go. We have the North Star in the center, right? And then we have Big Dipper. So as the Big Dipper moves around, you know, it is kind of like going around and measuring time. But what's happening is typically it's going counterclockwise. So there is measurement, there's time measurement that you it may not be like a traditional clock, but there's different ways. You have to use trigonometry, you have to use geometry, there's different calculations that you have to use in order for you to find it, you know. But it's better if you're using the sun and the moon. The stars, I mean, you're dealing with astronomy, and the star, moon, and sun, still dealing with astronomy, but it's easier with the sun and the moon. Okay, so let's move. We can see a little bit more examples of that. So here it is, right? You don't get the actual 2 o'clock, 2:30, 2:15, something like that. What happens is you have the North Star in the middle, and you want to try and take a look at the seasons, right? You want to look at the seasons. There are 4 seasons: summer, spring, winter, and fall. Okay? So this is what you're actually taking a look at when you see the Big Dipper. It's the Big Dipper, and the Big Dipper is moving. So its position in the sky lets you know what season we're in. So that's telling time. The time that you're telling is not minute by minute, hour by hour. Not that. It's telling you the seasons to know when to pray. Give you information as far as predictions, as far as when floods are going to take place, and you know, it kind of gives you that type of information, and that's valuable. That's very valuable. So this is what this tells you when you're looking at the Big Dipper. So it does tell you time, not traditional time on a watch, but it does tell you time. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right. This is more dealing with what I'm going to go into in the next lecture, the next time. We have what's called the celestial meridian, and then the celestial horizon. You look at the altitude, and you see a central angle inside the core, a right angle that is being bisected evenly with 45 degrees on either side. This is inside the core of the Earth's surface. And, you know, we don't have the time to really break this down. But in the next lecture, when we start talking about Taurus, Sagittarius, and some of the other constellations, we're going to be dealing with celestial meridian, and we're going to be dealing with Earth's core. Yeah. So I slid that in on accident. I apologize. But just to let you know what is to come. All right. Okay. Let's move on so we don't have our point here. This here is looking at the sextant and how it is looking at measuring. Let's look at this. Celestial navigation, also known as astro navigation, is the practice of determining the navigator's position using celestial bodies like the sun, the moon, and the planet. All right, and stars. It's performed without relying on electrical or digital positioning systems like GPS. All right. Just for maybe take the time, I'm gonna skip this right here, but just know that that's one of the tools that can be used in order to measure the distance between stars. Okay, you stand in one particular position on the Earth's surface, and you take a look at a particular point, and then from that particular point, you can draw an angle, and then you can look at the distance between the 2 points, and you can find what that degree is and the arc degree. So again, this math is involved. So but it's looking at a telescope and having this information when you're on a boat or whatever the case is. If you're standing still, this is how you can look at navigation and track navigation and look at distance, time, and stuff like that. All right, so let's move on. Let's move forward. I'm gonna have to move through some of this a little quicker.
Hey, well, real quick, El Kanan, because you mentioned arc. We read the word arc, A-R-C. Then you have royal arc, A-R-C-H.
Yeah, I know, but it sounds like there's the connection, but it's in dealing with the royal arc and dealing with the arc itself. It's that's not the connection right there. So because you brought it up,
we talk about arc of separation. We talk about the arc of separation.
Okay, well, we can deal with that.
Arc of separation. And then the royal arc, you have the circle with an equilateral triangle within the circle.
Right. So this isn't really clear. It's not real good because it's not. You can't see it too well. I mean, okay, you can look a little bit. So let me just do it this way. You see the two. Let me see. Was there another? There was another. Go back one more time. There's another slide. This one here, for all practical purposes. Now let's take a look at this. You see the letter A. You see the letter which is on the horizon, right? You see the letter O, which is inside the core. It's in the middle of the Earth's surface. All right, and then you see the letter Z. All right, way up top. So ZOA is a right triangle. Okay, so looking at the line, the bisector, the segment between A and O. So if you go up to A, which is on P, if you take a look at P, and we can map this. As a matter of fact, where is X? Okay, yeah, you see the X, right? So the X is a bisector, XO, from X all the way down to O, right? All right. So the vertex O, and you have these three line segments, ZO, XO, and AO. All right. So you have the arc of separation here. You have two different angles. Okay. So when you're looking at distances right here, you look at the arc. Okay. Let's go into. I was trying to do my math today.
Yeah, but I just saw the opportunity, brother. I just saw the opportunity because you had that there as arc of separation.
I was looking at time and I said, man, this ain't gonna work.
Hey, brother, it's working now, brother. Just keep it. It's working.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. And I guess we can find out from him what we're looking at as far as time too. So
go ahead, brother. Keep doing your thing, brother.
Yeah, you good.
All right.
You're good, man. You're good.
triangle XOA. That's a triangle right there, right? And you see where it says altitude. Altitude is derived of the central angle. So that arrow is pointing to the degree. It's pointing to the degree, right? The degree of that angle. The arc AX, look at the letter NX. Now we get into what we call sacred geometry, where we deal with curve versus line. Euclidean geometry deals with lines. But we have a sphere. So now we can't deal with a triangle has 3 distinct sharp lines.
That is called spherical trigonometry.
Well, it's spherical trigonometry. We're dealing with spherical trigonometry. But what's happening here is we don't have 3 lines. We have 2 lines and we have an arc. All right? So when we're dealing with the circle, that's when we start dealing with arcs. So here's what happens here. Arc AX or XA, right? It has the same degree as what that arrow is pointing to. That arrow is pointing to a degree. Now, we don't know what that degree is, but if we had our tools and we can measure that, then we can find out exactly what the degree is. But what we do know in the core, in the center from the top, the very top of the Earth's surface, and we look at the side of the Earth's surface, we know that's 90 degrees. We look at segment XO, we cut that in half. The bisector cuts that 90-degree angle in half, and it becomes 2 45-degree angles. So all we need to know is what the point is, where the center of the Earth is, the top surface, and the side. Then we can find out and say, oh, well, if this arc is 45 degrees. So from a sphere, we can find out what that is. Sphere like a basketball, orange, whatever round object, you want to take a look at. But of course, that's hollow. But, we just look at a sphere. It's a round object, geometric object. All right. So the arc of separation here, we look at the arc AX and then XZ, right? So that is what we take a look at here. And when I have my lecture, going back to astronomy, not just looking at the Earth's core, but we take a look at the Earth's wobble. We'll take a look at some other constellations, and we'll reveal some other mystery that are contained in pictures. That's what we started off with here. So we'll get more deeper into that on the next visit. And that's why I don't want to get into it here, because this gets into a small pickup and it still gets into the math. But math isn't that difficult. We can see the 90-degree triangle ZOA, 90 degrees. We can see that a bisector XO, it takes half of 90, which is 45. XOA is one triangle, 45 degrees, and then we see another one, which is COX, right? So the vertex is at O. That point at O is the vertex. That's the point where each one of these line segments come out of. Net 3, AO, XO, EO, and then 2 triangles that are formed. But again, we'll get more into that on the next.
Yeah, this adds more value to it, man. When you explain something, when you explain the application, and I said to you several years ago that the math, in order that the math gives, I don't know the math. I don't know the math. That's your thing. I know the astronomy, but I cannot give a full explanation without the math. You cannot. See, now you prove my point. What I said to him, what I said to you 6 years ago, you just proved the point that I said 6 years ago. You put the math to it.
Yeah.
It adds more value.
I mean, but there's more. Now, I know.
No, well, we know it's more. We know it's more. I mean, I'm saying we gonna move on. Brother, I'm talking about what you did tonight. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. You added value, tremendous value, because you know that our brothers and sisters and conscious Moors and unconscious Moors and even Europeans, and they see images. All right, you're bringing it to life. You're bringing them to life. We've been groomed into the symbol. It's a symbol. It's just, and because they don't. You bringing it to life. You adding more great value to it. All right, we're gonna move on. I don't want to get bogged down to that.
I have this, as I said in my second lecture, when I don't know when that's going to be, because again, this theme of this is what's happening during this part of the year in November, and it was supposed to be Thanksgiving, but we looking at it from an astronomical standpoint. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll revisit this, and it's going to be real nasty. So I trying to not give the headache right now, and we enjoy ourselves. So I can take in all this other stuff a little bit, so I don't want us to get all headache and stuff like that. But anyway, here's what we're looking at right now, and we're going to get into it. We'll start dealing with surface area of a sphere and a circle and cones and things of that nature, so that we see how the mapping of the constellation. This is what the Moorish did, by the way. So they used the sextant and the lobby, and they used different tools in order to
quadrant
to create the times of the season. Next lecture, I ain't gonna do it now, but going ahead and talking about when, not just looking at the summer and the winter solstice, but it gets a little deeper than that, because there's a lot more information to it, and I'd rather get into the whole spiel. But this is good. So we got the math in it. So of this particular object, and like I said, I wasn't looking at getting into this as it is. Well, I will also say this to you though, real quick. So we look at what's also called, with these two arcs, look at what's called the zenith distance. So the arc AX and the arc XZ is what you call zenith distances. Okay. So we'll get into next lecture. That's gonna be the lecture. That's gonna be the real math one. So let's go ahead. Let's move on. The instruments and tools. How it works. I'm gonna go through this real quick, because this is why. What's the purpose of all this information? I mean, why? What is? Okay, let's look at it. Observation. A navigator uses a sensor to measure the angle or altitude of a celestial object above the horizon at a specific time. Now, the geographic position looks at celestial bodies that have a geographic position, which is the spot on the Earth directly beneath them. The line of position is the measure of the sector combined with the time and the celestial objects denotes or define a circle of position on the Earth's surface. All points on the circle are an equal distance from the object's geographical position. Finding position by observing two or more celestial bodies and calculating their respective circles of position, the navigator can pinpoint their location at the intersection of these circles. And again, I will bring back this again, because this kind of piggyback on what we just saw. And it gives it in somewhat layman terms, if that makes sense. Then. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next slide. All right. Section, nautical almanac, chronometer, phenomena, navigational tables. All right. Key instruments and tools. All right. A specialized instrument used to measure angle between celestial bodies and horizons. All right. That is section. Nautical almanac. A annual publication that contains the precise coordinate of celestial bodies for each day of the year, used to find the geographic position, GP. Chronometer, a very accurate clock used to record the precise time of an observation, which is crucial for calculating longitude. Navigational tables. Tables like the HO229 or similar resources help with the complex calculations needed to determine one's position. All of these are major, very major. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So the practical use, celestial navigation today as a reliable backup to modern electronic navigation systems, especially in the case of technology failure. But you need to do this if you don't have the GPS system in the whole 9 yards. Ships need that. Planes need that as well. It's most effective when a navigator is far offshore, away from terrestrial landmarks. Navigators can determine their latitude and longitude using a combination of different celestial bodies and observations, even combining multiple observations taken at different times to find their position. All right, next. Astronomy is part of our ancient Egyptian, Babylonian, Kanan culture, Moorish culture. The constellation Orion does not have a single complete astronomical cycle in the same way a planet orbits the sun. Instead, its visibility and appearance are part of several distinct cycles related to Earth's movement and the stellar evolution of its components. All right, next. Daily cycle, 24 hours. Orion appears to move westward across the night sky due to the Earth's rotation. Annual visibility cycle, 1 year. Due to the Earth's orbit and around the sun, Orion is visible in the night sky for only part of the year. In the northern hemisphere, it is best seen during the winter months, October to March, and is hidden by the sun's glare during summer, May through July. Precession cycle, 26,000. Well, that little curve means approximate. It's usually 29,920 years. The Earth's axial wobble, which is at 23.5 degrees, known as precession, causes the position of constellations relative to the celestial poles and equator to shift over a cycle of approximately 26,000 years. This will eventually carry Orion further south, making it invisible from northern latitudes in about 12,000 years. All right, next. Life-term cycle, cosmic evolution. On an astronomical scale, Orion represents ongoing and much longer stellar life cycle of birth, life, and death that unfold over millions of years. Okay, and that's what I said I was going to talk about. Orion is rise or ascension and descension. Star birth, millions of years. The Orion Nebula, M42, located in the Hunter's Sword, is a stellar nursery where new stars are actively forming from gas and dust, continuing the cycle of creation. All right. Okay. Stellar life and death, millions of years. The major stars of Orion are massive, hot, young giants that are burning through their fuel rapidly compared to our sun. Betelgeuse, the red supergiant at Orion's shoulder is nearing the end of its life and is expected to explode in a supernova within the next 100,000 years. The stars on Orion's belt, El Natak, El Nilam, and Mitaka, and Regal, are also massive stars that will one day go supernova, explode, disappearing their material back into space to form new nebula. Okay. And oddly enough, big star formations here, this is the Orion's belt, we already said. There's 1, 3, and 5 cluster. 1 cluster, and then 3, and then 5. All right, let's move on. Constellations shape the chain hundreds of years, or hundreds of thousands of years. All right. Let's move through this one right here. We don't have to do that per se. Yeah. And again, this is November evening. This is what's his name? Orion. Orion is laying down on his back here, and as Orion starts to move up, or is his shoulder, well, next to the shoulder, but as he starts to stand, right now he's leaning, he's falling down, and he starts raising up. We call that in the lodge going from a dead level to an upright perpendicular. So he's being raised up, and as he's raising up, he's changing from winter to spring, right? So it's advancing with more sun or more light, right? So let's move on to the next one. Sirius. The Sirius star in the night sky located in the constellation known as Canis Major, the Great Dog. Remember when I told you that Orion has 2 dogs? He has Canis Major and Canis Minor. Canis Major has the little, not ambulance, but the there's I guess you could say ambulance right at his neck. Right, so we saw that in the pictures. So Sirius is also referred to as the dog star, and it's part of a binary system with a white dwarf companion called Sirius B. This star constellation is a single star, although it is a binary system with a fainter companion star. All right, so that's Sirius B. Constellation Canis Major is the constellation that contains Sirius. Other name, Sirius is also known as the dog star. Okay. All right, we can move on. Yeah, we read this already. April the 20th to May 20th. All right, Orion is used for celestial terrestrial navigation by finding direction using Orion's belt and its sword, locating other stars like Sirius and Pollux by following imaginary lines and as a celestial map space spacecraft guidance system. In the northern hemisphere, the belts star east to west, while the sword points south. So as you see that, they're always aligned. Sometimes they're slanted. Sometimes they're, depending on how Orion is positioned, you see the 3 stars either going from east to west, slanted from 3. But then you see his belt, the sword is pointing south or pointing down. So to find the other stars, it's in the line from the belt southeast, or to find Sirius, or from regional to Betelgeuse to find Castor and Pollux. Celestial and terrestrial navigation. Finding direction. In the northern hemisphere, the 3 stars of Orion's belt form a line that roughly point east to west and the sword hanging from the belt point south, finding the other stars. Sirius, draw a line from Orion's belt to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, Aldebaran. Extend a line. Well, let me clear that up so it's not unclear. Orion's belt, Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. All right. Now, Aldebaran, extend a line from Orion's belt northwest to locate Aldebaran. Castor and Pollux, draw a line from Regal from Betelgeuse to find Castor and Pollux. So that right there is just mapping to be able to see where these different stars are within the constellation of Orion. All right, so let's move up. All right, deep space navigation. All right, I see Procyon, imaginary line across Orion's shoulder, Betelgeuse and Bellatrix, eastward points to Procyon. Deep space navigation, celestial map. Spacecraft use star trackers to make or to take images of stars and compare them to the built-in star map with constellations like Orion acting as structural maps to determine orientation and position in space. Guidance system. The guidance system uses these star images to keep spacecraft on course, similar to how human navigators use Orion to find their way on Earth. All right, let's move on. But it is a key navigational tool for finding other stars and constellations in the night sky, which in turn help the terrestrial navigation and deep space craft guidance.
Ezra, can you increase that, please? If you, that's the,
All right.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. All right. For spacecraft, which use a guidance system that compares star map to images, it takes constellations act as celestial maps. The human navigators on Earth, Orion is used as the starting point to find other stars like Sirius or the Pleiades and to determine direction. So this is the usage of astronomy, how astronomy helps us with navigation. Okay, let's go ahead and move up or next slide. Terrestrial celestial navigation, finding direction. In the northern hemisphere, the three stars of Orion belt point roughly eastward to westward, and the sword hanging from the belt point south. Finding other stars, extending imagery line from Orion's belt southeastward leads to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. An imaginary line from Regal through Betelgeuse point for Castor and Pollux. Okay. Go to the next. Imaginary line drawn eastward across the shoulders, Bellatrix and Betelgeuse point toward, I probably did, Huracan, finding the constellation by using Orion as a guide. You can locate other constellations like Taurus, Gemini, and Canis Minor. Deep space navigation, robotic spacecraft. A spacecraft guidance navigation and control system uses star maps to navigate comparing patterns of stars. The images will take to determine its position. All right. Next slide. Astronauts are trained to use celestial navigation, the same method ancient sailors used with constellations, as a backup for when modern navigation systems fail. All right, next slide. Constellations are both ancient and modern purpose, serving as historical tools for navigation and timekeeping and modern-day master astronomers to locate and study objects in space. Ancient cultures used them to track seasons for agriculture, while sailors used them to navigate the seas. Today, astronomers use the 88 official constellations as the framework to map the sky, similar to how each defined regions on the map. All right, next. See, ancient importance. Agriculture constellations help ancient civilizations predict seasonal change, knowing when to plant and target crops. Timekeeping. They were used to tell time at night as the basis for early calendar to mark the passing of years. Navigation. Sailors used constellations as a reliable way to find their direction across oceans and land. Cultural and religious significance. Many constellations are tied to myth stories and religious figures, reflecting a cultural value and beliefs. More important, astronomical math. Modern astronomy uses constellations to divide the entire sky through 88 official standardized regions. All right. Next slide. Locating celestial objects. Astronomers use constellations as a coordinate system to pinpoint and study objects in space, much like locating a city within a state. Amateur astronomer, constellations serve as a helpful guide navigating the night sky and learning about star patterns. All right, next slide. Moors use constellations for navigation, timekeeping, and agriculture. And they developed scientific instruments like the astrolabe to make these observations more precise. They use stars and constellations as a celestial calendar for farming and to determine direction of travel across the land and sea. Astronomy and other sciences flourished under their rule, which contributed to Europe's knowledge advancement. All right, next slide. Navigation and direction, determining direction. The Moors, like other cultures, used prominent stars and constellations to find their way. For example, certain stars rising and headed in a specific direction could reliably indicate south. Navigation with instruments. They use instruments like the astrolabe to measure the position of stars and planets.
Astrolabe.
Astrolabe.
Uh-huh.
All right, astrolabe to measure position of stars and planets with greater accuracy, which aided in navigation, timekeeping, and agriculture. Celestial calendar. The sky served as a calendar for the Moors, who observed which constellations appeared at certain times of the year. All right. Agricultural cycle. They use, talking about the Moors again, they use these celestial markers to determine the right time for planting and harvesting crops. Scientific advancement. Astrolabe developed. The Moors were instrumental in developing and popularizing the astrolabe, key instrument for astronomical observation and navigation. Accurate measurement. They developed techniques and instruments that allow for more precise calculation of celestial positions. All right. Next slide. Remembering Moorish culture of astronomy is important because it highlights advancements that significantly impacted European science and helped transition Europe out of the Dark Ages. Moorish scholars developed advanced observational instruments like the astrolabe, created the detailed star charts and contributed to trigonometry and optics, laying the groundwork for the Renaissance. Their work preserved and built upon classical knowledge and was essential for practices like determining prayer times, making their astronomical contributions a vital part of both scientific and cultural history. All right, next slide. Improved oh no, that's not it. Scientific and intellectual contributions, advancements in instruments. Moorish astronomers refined and introduced devices like the astrolabe, key tool for measuring the position of celestial bodies, which became a vital instrument for navigation and timekeeping in Europe. Improved astronomical knowledge, they created more accurate star charts and developed advanced mathematical tools, including refining the 6 modern trigonometric functions, which help improve the understanding of planetary motion and cosmos. New scientific techniques. They introduced new scientific techniques to Europe, contributing to the blossoming of science in fields like astronomy, physics, mathematics. Foundation for the Renaissance. The translation of more scientific texts into Latin and other European languages were crucial for sparking the Renaissance, invigorating European universities and scientific thought. Right, next slide. Pioneering scholars like Ibn al-Hakam made foundational discoveries in optics that challenged ancient theories and paved the way for the development of the camera, obscura, and telescope. Cultural and religious impact. Preservation of classical text. More scholars actively preserved and studied classical Greek, Babylonian, and Indian texts, keeping ancient knowledge alive during a time when it was lost to much of Europe. Applications through religious practice. Astronomy was essential for Islamic practice, such as calculating the exact time for daily prayers, the direction of Mecca, and the dates for religious festivals, driving their scientific advancement in fields, or in the field rather. Cultural legacy. The integration of science, philosophy, and art in Moorish culture created a rich legacy that influenced the cultural and intellectual landscape of regions like Spain and, by extension, modern Europe. Okay, next slide. Tools for viewing constellations include historical instruments like the astrolabe, cross staff, or sextant for measuring celestial angles. Modern devices like the telescope for magnified views. Navigational aids also played a role with devices like the magnetic compass and the chronometer being essential for using star position for the navigation. Historical tools. The astrolabe, an ancient, sophisticated instrument that could be used to determine latitude, time, and the position of celestial bodies, measuring the angle of a star above by cross staff, a simpler early instrument that was used to measure the altitude of the sun or a star by lining and sliding cross peaks on a staff. Sextant, a more advanced instrument that replaced the octant and was used for celestial navigation to measure the angle between a celestial body and the horizon. Quadrant, a handheld instrument shaped like a quarter circle used to measure the altitude of stars. Come on. An early Arabic navigation tool that used a rectangular plate and a simple string to measure the angle from the North Star to the horizon. Right. Next slide. All right. Modern and complementary tools. Telescope. Used to get a much closer, clear view of constellations and other celestial objects. Chronometer. A highly accurate clock essential for celestial navigation, as it provides the light time needed to calculate longitude. Magnetic compass, an ancient fundamental tool that, while not used for viewing constellations directly, was crucial for navigation when used in conjunction with star observation. Star charts and tables. These are essential for both historical and modern navigation, providing the celestial body data needed to interpret the measurements taken by other instruments. All right, next slide. Use of trigonometry to calculate the distance to the object. In astronomy, this method involves observing a star from opposite sides of Earth's orbit to measure its apparent shift against background star. All right, and here we're at the end. Last slide here. Astronomy math uses equations for gravity. This up a little bit. Orbital mechanics, radiation, and distance, including Newton's law of universal gravitation. And that's good. That's good. So these are just some of the formulas. You know, if you have gravity, math, force equal gravity times mass 1 times math 2 divided by radius squared. I mean, you know, if you got to have value for this in order for you to find out, obviously, you know, and then once you find that out, 2 times the radius divided by 2 times the mass, times the mass, times gravity, that's going to equal the force. So if you wanted to do it backwards, then you can find out force that way. Or you can find out force, first formula. And that's Kepler's third law of planetary. Well, the first one was gravitation. The second one here is Kepler's third law of planetary motion. P squared is equal to A cubed. And, you know, it goes down the line.
Yeah, this adds great value, brother. I salute you. Tip my fez and unwrap my turban.
This concludes it, but there are a lot of pieces. I almost said a lot of pieces. There's several pieces in here that are connected to the next lecture. I'm going to be able to. I'll be seen. I have my video. I have everything. I'll figure out what the problems are, whatever the case is. And it's going to be mathy, and it's going to be astronomy and math. So, you know, I tried to shy away from it because, well, I just leave it at that. But I'm back. I'm getting over the phone. So.
Don't shy away from it. That's what I mean.
You know, I'll talk offline about it, but
we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up. All right. Yeah, so I want to thank everyone for joining us. this evening. My website, anyone interested in getting my books, go to mooresandmasonry.org. All right, don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, share the recording. Post the recording on your social media platforms. This was dynamic. The importance of astronomy in Moorish culture, part 2. Kanan will be on every fourth Monday of the month. He will be on Moorish Monday every fourth Monday of the month. And so next week, Viceres Ill and I will be doing part 2 of our Moorish connection to Masonry series. We're going to do a 6-month series. We'll be into next week begins our second month. Every first Monday of the month will be the Moorish connection to Masonry series with my series Ill and myself. Every fourth Monday is El Kanan, and then I'll have Brother Taj has agreed to reschedule and I have to I'll talk to Dr. Naila, confirm with Dr. Naila for the 8th, for December 8th. So that's actually that's in 2 weeks. So I'll just confirm with Dr. Naila, so she wait to get her to get back with me with that. So once again, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe once again for my books, mooresandmasonry.org. Brother Israel, tip my fez and I wrap my turban, brother. Thank you for co-piloting it, brother. I greatly appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Indeed.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was great, brother. You did a great job, brother. You did a wonderful job, man. I'm proud, brother. Did me proud. I love it, man.
I couldn't see so good because of the tech, but
Now, you did well, brother. I ain't got no complaints. I will not complain.
Yeah. Help you out so I can see, man. Dude.
All right, everyone. Y'all take care. Thanks again, brother. Uncle Hank. Peace, everyone.
Peace, everyone.